Howdy folks, thank you for tuning in to Homesteading at the Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent, and I think we're going to have a really good video here for you today, other than it's probably just a little bit windy from a cold front that's blowing in, and it's probably going to disrupt the audio. That being said, if I miss anything in today's video, I'm going to try and get it down in the description, or if y'all still have any comments or questions, you can leave them down in the comments and I'll make sure to get back with you. If y'all been watching our videos, y'all know that every single week I try and promote some type of self-sufficiency, self-sustainability, or getting off the system, becoming ungovernable, just doing something for yourself. That doesn't end with, our chicken feed. So we're going to try and make a batch of that here today. Today's batch is going to consist of 50 pounds, and let's get into it. I took a lot of different recipes offline or from different people and kind of put them together, made my own. I really don't see anything else quite like this, but it's what's available for our homestead. It's more of a self-sufficiency thing than, going to the store and buying it. We basically have 6 ingredients, and I'm gonna get these here for y'all. Our 6 ingredients are gonna be corn, soybean, oats, fish meal, nutribalancer, and limestone. Of those 6, the only one that I've been able to produce on the homestead so far is gonna be our corn. We're going to get into that right now. You can see this is a corn that I grew here this past spring. This is a corn that was grown commercially from a commercial farm right up the road. There's going to be a lot of people that have a problem with this corn because it's GMO versus my corn's not GMO, but it's not organic either. It's going to be naturally grown, but I did not use any pesticides. I did use a synthetic fertilizer on it, which is why it's not considered organic, but this is a Cherokee Dent. I was unable to grow enough of this corn this year to provide enough food all year for the chickens, which is why I'm supplementing it with the commercially grown. We'll get into that more on another video. I did purchase soybeans from a local feed store, as well as the crimped oats and fish meal. As far as the percentages, my recipe is going to contain 52% corn, 30% soybean, 10% crimped oats, 4% fish meal, 3% nutribalancer, and 1% a limestone granite grit. And this is going to be about a 50-50 mix of the limestone granite grit. Y'all need to understand, chickens don't have teeth, so they need some type of coarse material that they can get into their gizzard and grind the rest of this grain or the food that they're eating up with. So that's where the grit and the limestone comes in. The limestone's also going to supply calcium. Fish meal, that's going to be a large source of protein. I believe this particular fish meal is something like 60%, as where the crimped oats is somewhere around 12.9%. The soybean is 35%, and the corn is going to be somewhere around 8 to 10%. Obviously, you can tell a huge nutrient difference in between the two varieties of corn that I have up here. With that said, sometimes I will supplement the soybean. We grew a Milo this year that did not quite produce enough either. The Milo is actually a little bit less in protein content, which is why I'm using the crimped oats. We'll get to more of that on a different video as well. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get some of this corn shelled off. You can it's still on the cob. So we're going to get started on that. And then we're going to get over to a grinder, and I'm going to show you all the consistency that this food needs to be to keep your chickens from choking to death on too fine of a powder. So hang in there with me. I'm going to start on this shelling. All right, so I need to come up with roughly 26 pounds of corn, which I've got a 5-gallon bucket I started on earlier. Once again, this is all corn that is locally sourced or that we grew. This is a sheller that a friend of ours got of Calvin. If y'all have been watching the videos for a while, y'all know Amber's stepdad, Dale. This would be his brother. Set us up with this sheller several years back and made us this nifty little box. This corn with the kernels on it goes into the grinder. You can see we're left with nothing but a cob. Going back to the self-sufficiency thing, I'm going to keep all these cobs. I'm going to soak them in a paraffin wax, and then later this winter I'll use them for starting the wood stove. They make excellent fire starters. So I'm going to put y'all on a time lapse right quick, and I'm going to finish shelling out the rest of this corn because y'all don't care to watch that, and then we're going to get into mixing the rest of this mix. All right, so there's only 3 ingredients of our chicken feed that I'm going to run through a grinder. And this grinder is a AMA grinder, just a grain grinder that I purchased from a local TSC. It does quite well. There's actually 4 of these sifts that go on this grinder. There's one more that's a little bit coarser than this one, which is the one I prefer. We don't want to grind any of these grains into a mix that's like a fine powder. We don't want it to be like a flour. Once again, you got to remember the chickens don't have teeth, so they can't grind this stuff up themselves. So whenever they try and swallow to get that food down in the gizzard, you don't want it to be like you're trying to swallow a cup of flour. So we want it just to be a little bit coarser. We just want to crack each one of these kernels, like the corn. We want to crack it to have the starches or the carbohydrates available for the digestive system of the bird. Same thing with the soybean or the oats as well. We want to cut them, allow those nutrients to be active, or allow those nutrients to be available to the digestive tract. So I'm going to start this grinder up. We have roughly 26 pounds of corn, 15 pounds of soybean, and 5 pounds of oats that we're going to grind up. We are not going to grind any of the fish meal, the nutribalancer, or the limestone because those materials are too fine already, but we will get them mixed up here just shortly. So y'all hang out there with me while I grind this up. All right, so we've emptied out the contents that we've ground, which are going to be the corn, the soybean, and the crimped oats. And you can see the AMA grinder did a really wonderful job. It's still a little more powdery than what I would like, which is why we did not grind the fish meal, the grit, or the nutribalance in it with it. We didn't want to fine those up anymore. But you can see there's actually quite a good amount of good chunks. I mean, those corn kernels, the soybean, you can still see there's some chunks of soybean in there that are maybe like half beans, maybe a third. This is going to be all excellent for the chicken's digestive system. They're going to be able to access those nutrients that was in that grain or in those beans as needed. We are now going to mix our 2 pounds of fish meal and our limestone and grit. And then this is just enough for trail nutribalancer for 50 pounds of feed for poultry. We're going to mix all these together thoroughly. It's not going to do me any good. You could put this in a bigger tub. This is an 18-gallon tub that I had here. You could put it, I've got some 30-gallon. Y'all often watch us with our our container garden. We have got, I think, a 30-gallon molasses feed tub that would probably be a little more efficient for doing 50 pounds at a time, but this works quite well too. And we just want to get it thoroughly mixed. It actually smells quite delicious. So our final product, you can see, looks quite good. Let's go get this on some chickens. Watch out. As you can see, I got them some new shavings. They are 2 weeks old today, so they're growing quite fast. They're off their starter grower. Now on to the Black Sheep Meadow feed mix here. It's going to build up. Get them some water in here, and it's really hard to believe, but these chickens are going to be close to 8 pounds in the next 4.5 weeks. Alrighty folks, so I want to thank y'all for joining me on today's video. Hopefully y'all got some good information off of it. I've got to get these baby chicks put up in the barn before sundown, whenever the temperatures start to get real low. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get a video of transferring them from the brooder box to the chicken tractor, where they're going to get moved around every single day for the next 4 weeks. In the meantime, as always, I try and encourage y'all, become self-sufficient. You know, do something for yourself. Learn a new skill, learn a new talent, do something. Quit depending on the system. You know, these days it seems like everybody just goes out and we can buy something, right? You know, so do something for yourself. Quit depending on the system. I thank y'all for joining us. If you got any questions, leave them down in the comments. If you wouldn't mind, subscribe to the channel, like today's video. We'll see y'all next week.